John was working in his science lab, got blasted by gamma rays. Now he's Smash Trivia John, always smashing. He's friends with Ruffalo, crushing on Maslany, and also Sydney Sweeney. John's here saying, hello my gamma friends, welcome to the show, the Gamma Analysis Podcast.
Smash.
Hello, my Gamma friends. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Smash Trivia John. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram by searching Smash Trivia. I'll be the one with the big old green head in the profile picture. This is the Gamma Analysis. Basically, I'm going to review everything Hulk, all the movies, TV shows, and I also do random other geeky films. Hope you enjoy. Smash Trivia presents the Gamma Analysis. I want to ask everyone listening to please do something for me. Please share the hell out of this podcast with all your friends. If you don't, Hulk will be angry. Hey, now let's smash right into this episode. So, before I get started, I just want to say Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This is a special Thanksgiving episode. We're reviewing a film that is kind of Thanksgiving, kind of Black Friday. It is technically taking place on Thanksgiving, because of the dumbness of how stores work these days. But we're I'm joined by actually I should say the film is called Black Friday that we're reviewing. I'm joined by Billiam from TikTok and the host of the Future Flicks with Billiam podcast. How you doing, Billiam?
I'm doing pretty well. Like I mentioned to you before we started recording, I've caught a cold, so I'm going to try not to like cough all over your podcast. Let's not do that. But yeah, I went down a fun rabbit hole of what everyone has been in, and it reminded me of some movies I completely forgot about. So that was a lot of fun.
If you do though cough, I think it'll be all right. You cannot catch the cold all from people listening to the podcast.
All right, good. So you all sitting at home or in your cars, you're fine. You don't. It's okay. It's okay that I'm not wearing a mask.
I really liked this film. I think I do wish there was a little bit more of both Devan Sawa and Bruce Campbell, but I did really enjoy the film.
Yeah, overall, I like what Bruce Campbell's character represented because he was a boss who wasn't evil. He was just kind of a jerk because he was so busy towing the company line and everything. But he wasn't, it's not that he was a bad guy. He just had his priorities completely wrong.
Yeah, he was interesting. I'm like, so I think he does care about his employees, but I think he had a very messed up reason for why he wanted to join this store in the first place.
Wasn't it to boss people around or
Yeah,
something?
he said, and people have to listen when you tell them what to do. Women have to laugh at your jokes. Like, wow.
Yeah, that part was a little cringeworthy, but I'm glad his character could have been far worse and really creepy, but I'm glad they didn't really go that route.
Yeah.
He just said a couple of weird things like that, and so I thought that was.
The thing is, I think that's how he was when he first started working at the store, but I don't think that's who he is now.
Yeah.
Now he feels that he has to be the boss figure, but I don't think he wants to be.
Yeah, and because he even complained about the champagne, like the cheap champagne he got from corporate or whatever it was, and then like if he was still fully, brown nosing the higher ups, he probably wouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But faced with your own mortality, maybe he was like, you know what, this does suck. I agree.
Yeah. Oh, but I loved his personality. It was probably one of the most unique personalities I've seen from Bruce Campbell in a film.
Yeah. Yeah. So my wife and I rewatched for me, first time for her, Evil Dead. And then pretty soon we're going to do Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. We did watch Evil Dead, the reboot, because it wasn't a remake, because it
It,
implied that the first one happened.
uh,
The reboot, and we watched Evil Dead Rise, and we liked them. And so I'm introducing her to where it all started. But yeah, I just it's not that I forgot how much I liked Bruce Campbell. It's just that I forgot how much he had been in.
mhm. So Bruce Campbell, for me, um, I didn't actually I watching Bruce Campbell stuff didn't actually start with Evil Dead. It started with a TV show called Burn Notice. It was on USA Network,
Yeah.
and I loved him in that. And um, even with the Evil Dead series, I didn't start with the original trilogy. I started by watching the Stars TV show, Ash versus Evil Dead,
Uh,
and loved watching that. And I was like, I want to try and go back and watch the originals. I'm it's definitely a hot take, but I actually like the Ash versus Evil Dead more than the original trilogy. I think it's much funnier
yeah.
than it was, as and it's also more consistent.
Yeah.
While the original trilogy is there, it's all like none of this makes any sense.
And I think that has a lot to do with, if I
Yeah,
remember right.
there's
Mhm.
weird rights issues for when they're making the second
Yeah.
film,
Yeah.
and I don't
Exactly.
understand how those rights issues work because if somebody else owned the rights to the Evil Dead franchise, you would not be able to call your film Evil Dead 2. How does that make sense?
Oh, who
Because
else
that's
did
what
that?
he so because
There,
that's what they
there's,
said was that somebody else owned the rights to Evil Dead franchise, so they had to basically recreate the first film as part of the second film, uh, um, which I don't think is how rights work.
I think there is some sort of weird loophole, because I can't remember what the movie was, but I know that there's some famous horror movie out there has a sequel that had nothing to do with the original, and they just like changed the name of some French film or something. God, was it called Zombie or something? Was it Living
Interesting.
Dead? I forgot what it was. I'll try to look into that, but it's there's probably some weird legal loophole
Mm-hmm.
where maybe that they're the original creators of the IP, so they can make the sequel, but they just can't use any footage from the first one, which is why Evil Dead
Yes.
2 has a condensed
Yeah,
version of the
but
whole
like,
film in it.
yeah, it's such a weird thing. Like the actual Evil Dead 2 is like only half of the film, and um, I think like everybody acts like says that Evil Dead 2 is just a masterpiece that is so much better than the original. I'm like, I think the original is better because it's actually cohesive.
Hmm.
Like honestly, out of the three original ones, on Evil Dead 2 is probably my least favorite. Because like the other two, they make like more sense. And I would probably actually my ranking would probably be Army of Darkness is number one, and Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead 2. Who, the Army of Darkness being number one, just because it is definitely the most comedic of the three, and I love comedy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And the when you started talking about a TV show that Bruce Campbell was on, for a minute I thought you were going to say The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., because I
Uh,
completely like, I have Burn Notice right here in my notes, but I for some reason glossed right over it.
Well, I think I've heard of that show. And mainly I've heard of it from going to a Comic Con where Bruce Campbell was at, and he talked about it on a panel.
Mhm.
But I think that show was a little bit for my time. I'm since I was born in 2001, so on, and I think that was a '90s show.
Yeah.
So uh,
Yeah,
and
I
also
think.
I've never been big on westerns.
Even a sci-fi western like that one was.
Like
Okay,
I think the closest thing to an actual western that I enjoy is a parody of westerns of A Million Ways to Die in the West,
mm, yeah,
the
with
Seth MacFarlane film.
mhm, yeah.
And that's
With
just because I love Seth MacFarlane's comedy.
yeah. Since we're on a Bruce Campbell kick, I completely forgot that he was in a movie I loved when I was a kid. This came out in 1996, and it was called Tornado. So if you remember, 1996 was the same year Twister came out. So this is one of those things where it came out around the same time,
Hmm.
and it had Bruce Campbell and Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters
Nice.
in it, and it's a made for TV movie. It's goofy. But I just remember really liking it, and I
Um, at some point, I really do want to go back and like try and watch a whole bunch of his different films, because there are definitely some very interesting looking films out of his filmography. There's that. There's he directed a film called My Name is Bruce, which sounds really interesting. Um, kind of feels like an action version of the unbearable weight of massive talent. From what I've heard. And then there's also I think one called The Man with the Screaming Brain or something, which it just sounds absolutely ridiculous. I want to see all these ridiculous roles from him.
that does sound like a lot of fun. It sounds like one of those movies where you watch it and you're just like asking yourself like, what the hell did I just watch?
I feel like the Man with the Screaming Brain and the poster also looks like something like this. It reminds me of like old old films from like the '60s. Like there were like adventure B movies. I could see a film of him from that time period having a title like "The Man with the Screaming Brain."
That and it also does seem like something that Bruce Campbell would have something to do with. It just sounds like they just put the script on his desk and he's like, yes. I'm like right away.
Oh
Like he didn't even
yeah.
read it. He's like, yes, this, I'll take it.
Yeah, it's also got like I think the poster is like really cool because it's like because it's made to look like a comic book like cover over, and that's I think that's really cool. You don't see that often with like original movies like this.
Oh, it is. I just brought that up. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
that's
never seen this, but it's on my list now.
there's a lot of like very wacky things I've seen from just looking at Bruce Campbell's IMDb page. Oh,
And
that's one like role that was I think was really cool. That although it was just a guest star appearance on a TV show was. Have you ever watched any of the librarians and movies and TV show on TNT?
no, but it's one of those shows that I keep meaning to start because I
So
know I'm going to
you,
like it.
I think you would. And he guest stars in an episode as Santa.
All right. So it's gonna have to move up my list. Was that the one with Noah Wiley?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, the TV show is a sequel slash spinoff off of the of a trilogy of movies that they made that starred Noah Wiley versus Noah. While the TV show Noah Wiley only appears in a couple of episodes as a guest appearance, and it's basically about a Indiana Jones style kind of person and getting different antiques from history that have some kind of power to them, and I mean it's just really fun adventure films.
I'm looking it up right now. I forgot John Larroquette was in it. I remember that from the trailers, and then Christian Kane from Leverage,
Uh, the
and the first Mystique, Rebecca Romaine was in it.
uh, um so there's also on Bruce Campbell's IMDb a film called Alien Apocalypse that he's in that um looks like about as stereotypical Alien Apocalypse film as it could be. And that's I bet that would be fun. And he's in a Crime Wave, which I think is if I remember right was a like I've never watched it, but apparently it is a collaboration between the Coen brothers and Sam Raimi, which sounds
Okay,
interesting. Um,
I'm down.
uh, the let's see what else got to find really weird things on here. Um, let's see.
He's been in everything Evil Dead somehow. Even
Mhm.
easily Evil Dead Rise, he was a voice, and in the reboot, he was. Oh, he had a small little cameo in it, but I think he was de-aged,
The,
or it was archival.
mhm. There's also Bubba Hotep where
Mm,
he plays Elvis.
yeah,
Is which sounds interesting. Yeah, there's just a lot of absolutely wild stuff he's been in, and I want to watch all of it. And I've also I've never watched either the 2013 or in Evil Dead sort of reboot or Evil Dead Rise. I want to check those out at some time point too.
those are good. I really like them, and I believe in my opinion, even though I like Halloween and Freddy and Jason, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, I think Evil Dead is one of the strongest horror franchises.
Mhm.
And I would really, really put it up there because even the worst movie at the very least is entertaining.
Mhm.
And I never it never really lost my attention, and
Mhm.
the both the reboot and the new movie that came out, Evil Dead Rise, they understand what the series is. It's like over the top gruesome, but not it doesn't really cross a line per se,
Yeah.
where it's a little tongue in cheek, but it's not comedy. And I think that's a really hard balance to make.
Um. The, I definitely see that. They do look really interesting to me. I there is a part of me though that's like the fact that Bruce Campbell is not the star in them. I feel like that alone will lose something to me with the films just because
Yeah.
as and it's not something of like oh they're starring women instead. So I don't like that. It's simply
Yeah, I get what you mean.
that personality. I'm like and if the stars of the remake or the or Evil Dead Rise have at least some of that personality, I'll be happy. But that I want some of that really fun personality that he has as Ash Williams. Um, uh, going back to the film that we're actually reviewing,
Yeah.
I, I think this was a fun concept for a film. They basically had these had what was attacking the store act like zombies, and I that though was one thing where I'm like, I kind of wish they did more to differentiate them from zombies because they're clearly not actually supposed to be zombies. They're
Yeah.
it's I think like supposed to be like some kind of alien thing that
Yeah, it was like
and
an alien virus or something taking over
yeah.
people. And I
So
equate them
I wish they
to,
would.
go on.
Yeah, I wish they had they made them feel a bit more unique.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. I look at them kind of like rage monsters, which are a subsection or classification or whatever of zombie, where like we have them in the 28 days, 28 weeks, soon to be 28 years is the new one coming out, and World War Z and things like that, where they're not the slow shambling things, they're like they're running at you, coming for you. But I do see what you mean, where they could have easily replaced it with zombies with a rage monster and there would be no difference. So
They
what
they
separates them?
they literally are so much of the same that down to the way that you get turned into one is the exact same as with a zombie.
Yeah.
Though speaking of bites, I we find out Ken and Devon Sawa's character that he had get bitten, but not actually. And I wish that there was at the end of the film a moment where when he came outside, I they actually told him, "Hey, yeah, you weren't actually bit by one of these creatures."
It was Brian,
Like he
the
was
assistant
like
manager.
I wish there was a moment like that, both because I think it would be really funny his reaction, but also because why is he willing to go with them now if he still thinks he was bit by one of those?
Because was going to sacrifice himself and
Yeah,
leave it like stay behind. And then
and
now
then he
he's like,
just
okay, I'll go with
he's
you.
like, yeah, I'll go with you. Let's go get pancakes. Even though I don't understand how you're willing to go get pancakes, like wouldn't you expect everywhere is going to have this problem?
That's probably
Uh,
Waffle House open.
yeah, but but are you sure that the Waffle House is not going to have a alien creature too?
Yeah. Though that movie did really make me want pancakes, and I've not had pancakes since I saw it, and that
Oh.
every day without pancakes now is like a little bit of torture.
Yeah, I haven't had pancakes in a while.
Yeah. I treat myself every once in a while. I have this diner I like to go to, and I could just get like thing because I'm at that age now where I'm like, as long as I don't, as long as I do it in moderation, like I'm gonna treat myself.
Mhm.
Like that's what I'm gonna do now.
Yeah,
The hair,
I I love of being able to find local breakfast restaurants because I think those are really cool. To see because like there have been different places I've lived where they never had anything like that. So whenever I see one, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
yeah.
And it's nice to have a home cooked breakfast, which is not really side that these days I have very often.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
I love those places because back in the day I used to go to a lot of conventions and things. We have a local anime convention, and after a weekend of heavy drinking and being in a sweaty costume all weekend, my friends and I we leave the hotel and we would go get a stack of pancakes somewhere, and it was always the best because I was still a little hungover,
nice,
still a little, and those always tasted the best. I don't know if they
nice.
were actually good, but I know my body needed some sort of nutrients that was not alcohol or like chips or something.
Yeah, nice. Um, you know, I think my favorite character in this was Devon Sawa's Ken. I thought he was so much fun in this,
Hmm.
which I always enjoy Devon Sawa in anything I watch. Ever since watching the Chucky TV show, I've just been in love with everything he's been in.
Yeah. So I didn't even realize when I was younger that I knew who he was because he did a couple movies before Final Destination. He did SLC Punk, which I loved. Casper, of course, which we already mentioned, that he was human
Yeah,
Casper at the end, and then a movie called Now and Then,
yeah.
which I really liked. And so, oh, and
And
Little Giants with Rick Moranis, and I forgot who else was in it. But yeah, like looking back now, I'm like, holy crap, he was a big part of my childhood.
he's an actor that I never knew anything about, but he's been in a lot of things.
Hmm.
He's like um, I only recently started knowing about him, as I said, because of the Chucky TV show, and I think it's so brilliant how every season of that they have him play a different character.
I have not seen that show, but it is on my list.
But yeah, he's definitely been in a lot of cool things. Like
Nice.
we talked about out those with Casper. Which is the one that Casper is the one that surprised me the most while I was
Yeah,
reviewing it last month. I was like, wait, he's in this?
yeah.
It's because you don't because he was a little kid, so you don't expect what he looked like. And then there's Idle Hands and apparently one of his very first roles was in a Sherlock Holmes movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
guess I didn't
he
get that far down the list.
he played in he was the voice of Flash Thompson in a Spider-Man cartoon.
That fits.
Yeah. Uh, let's see. Is there anything else interesting? Um, Uh, there's something from 2021 called Death Rider in the House of Vampires, which just sounds ridiculous as hell.
Yeah, okay. I'm wondering if I actually read today. Like, did I actually read anything? Okay, let's look. You said 20 when? Oh, there it is. Death Rider in the House
2021.
of Vampires. Oh my God. Why does the poster look like it's some alternate universe metalocalypse?
Oh man, yeah. Um, the Chucky TV show is another one that I highly recommend you checking out at some point.
All right.
Have you ever watched like the movies for
Mhm.
Chucky?
Yeah, I have seen all of them except Cult and Curse.
Mhm.
Um,
Those are the two most recent movies.
yeah. I saw the reboot and
I haven't.
I have critiques.
I have not watched the reboot because I've heard it's not good. I'm and there's a part of me that does want to at least try checking out just because I think it's cool that old Mark Hamill being the voice of Chucky in it, and also because Aubrey Plaza's in it, and I
Oh yeah.
always love Aubrey Plaza in anything.
Did you watch My Old Ass yet?
No, I haven't. I've heard good things.
It was fantastic. It was just really really well done. But my main critique, without any spoilers, for the 2019 Child's Play remake is that changing who or like what Chucky was. You know, in this one
Mhm.
it's a AI thing as opposed to a axe murder in a
Yeah,
doll's body. Fundamentally changes Chucky as a character.
yeah, I read that in the description. I was like, that's weird. Why
Yeah.
would you do that? Um, I think like I think it's weird, but also at the same time, I don't think that those scenes at the beginning from the original Chucky movie, where we see him before he became the doll, I don't know if those would work as well with Mark Hamill being Charles Lee Ray.
Yeah.
I think there's a very specific feel to the actor who played him in the original that I don't know if Mark Hamill will be able to make feel the same.
And I think that's mainly because it's Mark Hamill. I
Yeah,
bet you as his skill as an actor,
maybe
he
maybe
can do
when
it,
he
but
was younger, but it just with his age, like a lot of those things were very physical that we saw in that those scenes, and I feel like he would just feel very
yeah.
stiff and instead of like this actual threat, which we saw in that those scenes. Uh, actually, what do I want to also want to say about this movie?
Well, I do
I
want to say that you mentioned your favorite character was Ken, played by Devan
mm,
Sawa. I liked Archie, played by Michael Jai White, because I love Michael Jai White.
uh,
And he was so
he
useful that I'm like, oh, he's not going to make it. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to have to pick a
and
secondary
like
character. Like, there's no way.
I really liked him too. He's the same. I really um that actor and for me the thing that I most remember him from is the Arrow TV show because I'm pretty sure it was a villain that he had played in that I really enjoyed him as but yeah, oh yeah, he was great in the film, and he was another person where I was sad that he didn't appear more in the film. He was taken out pretty quickly.
Yeah. And he did it in one of those ways where he didn't, it felt like he didn't even try to fight back. Like he did fight, but kind of like where he gave in going, "Oh, I'll go down fighting, but oh yeah, I can tell that I'm not going to make it out of this," kind of thing.
Now, one character, now, admittedly, it might be that I just looked away from the screen when this happened. Both of the two times I watched it this week, but the old lady that was one of the employees,
Oh
how
yeah.
did she die?
So
Because
she was
I do have no recollection of seeing her die. She just stopped appearing.
because it so that happens shortly after a really weird cut in the movie that I even we even commented when we were watching it at the time going that was weird. We thought we missed something, but there's a really weird cut. And then they're all outside of the office suddenly. She's looking outside, goes, "Oh, the cops are coming. Yay." And she's just standing in the window and the cop car crashes through the window and takes her out.
Oh, okay, okay. I definitely saw like the cop car. I didn't realize that killed her.
Yeah.
I was,
And
yeah, I was.
that's why they come up with a joke later where I forgot one of them says, "Oh," and they're talking about where they're going to go and someone says, "Oh, the police station."
Mhm.
And I think it's I have her name here, Marnie, played by the girl from Pan's Labyrinth, Ivana Baquero. But she goes, "We can't go to the police station. They're starting to kill people out there." And someone else says, "Starting?" I was
No,
like, "Oh,
no,
that's a little
they,
commentary."
yeah, I think the line was that we can't go there because they've become monsters as
Oh,
well,
yeah.
and now and then the other character was like, "You think they only just become monsters or something like that?" Yeah, that was definitely very funny. Oh, I'm gonna be honest. So, I definitely don't mind Marnie dying since she was very clearly racist. She
Oh,
she had this line where she was like, "Oh, I remember where when we separated the shoppers between races," and she smiled about it.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I forgot that woman's name. Marnie is the love interest. But yeah, Pam. I can't remember her name though. Like I can't
I
even.
thought you said that Marnie was the name of the like old lady that worked
No, no,
there.
no, no. That's the love interest. Ken's love
Okay,
interest.
no, then never mind.
But no,
I
you're right. Where she like obviously she has
mm,
some like latent racist
yeah,
theories
that's
in her head.
yeah. It's Ruth is her
Mm,
name. But yeah, like um. That's like yeah, I don't mind you dying. Not after that. Like and like she is very very open about how she feels about things.
yeah,
Most people would not be willing to say something like that while they're in the room with two black men, and one of them is fucking massive.
yeah,
like, and like that's not the only weird comments she made. She also was making really creepy comments about Ken and Marnie
yeah,
in the office. I'm like, uh, that's weird.
yeah. Like we don't. Those are intrusive thoughts. We don't
like,
say those out loud.
I mean, like, they're these are funny lines for the film, but like in universe, I just think like I cannot imagine having to be Marnie in the office with her as she's telling her these things, or those their two black coworkers is having to be there as she's saying and smiling about having a time when they separated shoppers by race.
Yeah,
Like I feel bad for all of her fellow employees. Since I imagine these two lines are not the only times she's made really said really weird
probably
things
not.
in their time working with her.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I bet you that there's a lot more things like there. She probably has a HR folder that's like just
I wish
one
we got
whole
an
part of the cabinet.
HR character. I wish we got an HR character in this because that would have been really funny.
That would have been funny. Like they're the first person to snap or something, or just start spilling everyone's secrets.
Yeah, it'd be great. Oh man. Oh, I think I think it was really a well done. On there's this foreshadowing at the beginning of the film that I until watching it the second time, I did not remember that this happened at the beginning of the film. But there was a line about how um they had forced or the character who has germophobia to learn how to drive a forklift, and then they at the end of the film have he uses a forklift. I think that was great foreshadowing. He was like, when am I ever gonna use a forklift? After they actually did have him use a forklift, and I think that was also a really great way to hurt the creature or have it sending a forklift into it.
Yeah, I got stabbed by a forklift. Whoops,
That was
you can't come back from that.
like I think that was a really creative choice of for how to fight it. Um, yeah, that's there's just so much fun stuff in the film. Like, even before they or these we actually start are seeing these creatures take over at their store. Just like Ken riding around the store on a skateboard, or it's just really fun to watch.
Yeah,
They're just like their different dynamics. It's fun. And like I think they did really well at making us care about out a lot of these characters. Um, though one character I think we don't get enough on is the character of Marnie, Arnie, his Ken's love interest. We don't know really anything about her.
Yeah. Oh, well, she says I forgot exactly what it was, but she says a little bit when they're having their, their faux Thanksgiving dinner with the
Mm.
old break room turkey. But yeah, we don't get a lot from her, and I think that could be a like, oh, we don't need it because you're gonna like her because she's a love interest of the main character kind of thing.
Yeah, so yeah, you don't need it. She doesn't need to have any agency.
Who needs that? She's attractive and noticeably younger than her love interest.
Oh man, and I, and you feel bad for or Ken when you see him have to leave his family at the beginning, but honestly, I think you feel so much more or bad for the kid with germophobia with how his parents treated him before he left. It's like,
Yeah,
oh God, you guys really suck.
yeah. And you could tell it's one of those houses where the mom doesn't agree with how the dad is
Mhm.
putting the law down, but she's like, so meek and not going to say anything. And it's just, yeah, I did feel bad for him. And like the fact that we got so much focus on him right after the introduction of Devan Sawa, I knew he was going to make it to the end. I wasn't certain if he was going to survive it, but I knew he was going to make it to the end and play a big part in it because why else are we getting so much background from this character?
One thing that and as I was watching and like getting near to the end, I was thinking about I want there to be a film that is literally just what happens after the movie is over, or living in this new world after there's been this crazy thing happen because you don't really see that often with films. Them actually just like showing on what is life actually like now after this and how I understood so the film was that this is happening across the world and
Yeah.
um stores across the world and like that has to create an interesting world going forward and I think and like it doesn't even need to have any horror elements. I think that would just like a film like that. It doesn't even have to be a sequel to this. Just like a film that is supposed to be set after a horrible thing happened in a horror movie, and just seeing what these characters' new lives are like because
Yeah.
I imagine that it's gonna be just as crazy afterwards because is trying to create a new normal.
Yeah. So less like a quiet place where we see or Walking Dead situation and more like the cleanup and aftermath of the
Yeah,
event kind of thing.
yeah,
So
it's
not
like
like the
it.
world's apocalypse now, but more of like what are we going to do now that we survived?
Yeah, what do we do now that we survive? And like not even um like not even like a wasteland sort of thing. Just like where like with a wasteland you have like like people start creating factions and stuff. Like I no, I just want to see like a fun little wholesome movie about characters trying to find their new normal after like this happened and then like you could have it just like be a fun wholesome little comedy or something because I think there's a lot of comedic things that you could find with I'm with a situation like that
Yeah.
and I just think that would make for a really interesting film.
Like about the cleanup crew who has to go in or
Yeah.
something or
Like Saying that another way to think about it is for not just horror, but with anything. It's like seeing what happens after the series finale of a TV show.
Yeah.
Just the new, what is the new normal now after all this crazy stuff has happened. And I just think that a sign like that, there doesn't have to be any kind of threat. Just what is the new normal, or would make for a fun film.
Or even like a 8 episode miniseries follow up going, oh,
Yeah,
like this is what happened afterwards.
like just like it can be like just like a slice of life sort of thing. And as
Yeah.
we understand what this new sort of world is. Like there's a TV show I remember watching called Orphan Black that
Mm.
acted. And as soon as that ended, I'm like, I want to see more of this, but not like more of more of the threat that's in the show, but but instead just like see these characters now living life now that they've finished dealing with this threat that they've had to deal with their whole lives.
Yeah.
I think that just that would make for a really fun slice of life sort of thing.
And it would also be good because sometimes it's hard to finish shows. Like I always hesitate to finish a show I really like,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not my first time through. So knowing that there's this little afterward kind of or a epilogue
Mm-hmm.
thing might lessen the hurt of losing a show.
Yeah, definitely. Um I think like what else do I want to talk about with this film? Let's see. I feel like when they first tied up the guy, because he killed a woman. I feel like he could have simply been like, "Hey, there's another one who is under the ball pit of it, and that is still alive. You can see that I'm telling the truth."
Yeah. Yeah, all like so many things in movies like this just need a rational moment of someone going, "Okay, let me explain."
Yeah. Um. But Chad, is there anything else that you want to talk about this movie?
No, just I was pleasantly I don't want to say surprised, but I
Mm-hmm.
was uh I did like how it was a very self-aware film. Like it didn't try to be
Mm-hmm.
anything else at all, other than just a fun watch for whatever the runtime was, like an hour and a half or something like that. But it's just really it's not super quick, but it's long enough to get you invested. It knows what it was doing the whole time, and it was not fully predictable, but nothing really surprised me. So
Mm-hmm.
it could be good for a comfort watch too.
Yeah, I can see that. One thing I thought was as a hilarious bit that kept coming back throughout the film that which is Dower Dennis is
That's right.
which they say that that there was a faulty thing in the technology for it or whatever, and so they can't sell it because of that. Even if there wasn't, who's buying something like that?
Yeah.
What child wants a dour dentist?
Wants a bear that complains about taxes and
And like
traffic that looks like it's like
the
created to make fun of Office Space or something.
I signed that I was just looking at the cast of the film. I did not realize this was the voice of Dower Denner when I was watching it, but apparently Seth Green is who voices him,
That's
which
really
is
cool.
cool. Yeah, that's definitely really fun on the voice for Ice.
Yeah, it's
This
probably a quick paycheck for him. It's like, come in, read these 6 lines. Cool. And then he gets to be a part of this movie, through that.
yeah. Um, this and he definitely feels like someone who fits really well into this kind of film.
Yeah.
Uh, like I going into this film, I didn't really know what to expect from it. like I was thinking I was thinking this would be sort of like horror comedy, but mixed with sort of Hallmark film for some reason. But it's definitely there's definitely no Hallmark vibes to it, which is good because I'm not a fan of Hallmark films.
I am, and I see what you mean though. It kind of gave this made for TV-esque vibe.
Mhm.
This kind of purposefully cheesy.
Yeah,
And I think that's what Hallmark does. And even um some of those Netflix ones like the Princess Switch and things like that, where it's like purposefully cheesy, like we
yeah.
know we're doing this and we're aware of it.
But I think everything in this film really worked for me. I mean, pretty well. I don't think it's really much else to talk about. I I don't think there'll ever be a sequel to this, but I would love to see a sequel to this. I think it'd be a lot of fun to see. A They can start the film with them like trying to find a place they can get pancakes and
Yeah.
eggs, and they're just like this was not a smart idea. Everywhere has these alien creatures. Why did we think this would work out?
Like a quick nod to the first one, going, "Yeah, no, let's go," and then start the new movie.
Oh, uh, 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 um, I'm ready to end this episode off. Is there any last things you'd like to say before I end the episode?
Well, I do want to say that out of the options you gave me, I had time to watch three of them, and this was by far my favorite.
Mhm.
I also watched Thanksgiving and Jim Henson's Turkey Hollow, which
Mhm.
is a Lifetime movie. I did not know that, so kind of akin to Hallmark.
I did not realize that. I definitely probably would not have loved that film either, since I don't love Lifetime movies, but I just interested in it because I like Jim Henson
Oh yeah,
and
Jim
stuff a
Henson's great.
lot.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh, this is a Jim Henson in Thanksgiving thing. I didn't know there was something like that.
yeah. But no, this one was by far my favorite. Like
Uh,
Thanksgiving was really bad, but in that we know we're bad, we're owning
mhm,
it kind of thing.
yeah.
But this one was actually like I would
I'm
rewatch this one.
I'm interested in seeing Thanksgiving, and just because as it I know it is a very ridiculous film, which I like a lot of ridiculous films, but I'm a little hesitant about it because it gives off the vibe to me of a lot like Velocipaster, or which I'm not a fan of Velocipaster, so I'm like
Yeah.
I don't know whether I'd like it or not. Um, One of the other ones that I had suggested to you that I personally do want to check out sometime, 'cause it does sound very interesting. Um, and this is just because I like a lot of political satire.
Hmm.
Was the Oath? The Oath is Oath. Have you ever heard of the Oath before?
No. Is that the one with Ike Barinholtz? I'm looking up IMDb right now.
I
Is that
so
the
I don't.
y- Yeah, yeah, and it's directed by him too. Okay, Ike Barinholtz, Tiffany Haddish.
It sounds interesting to me. It's about them having to get signed in or something, or and the government is trying to make sure only people that believe their kind of beliefs of at least have are able to live in the country or something. I think that makes for interesting Thanksgiving film. And I think could be very meaningful for the world we're gonna be living in over the next 40
Oh
years.
man, don't remind me. Yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that looks like it is the one. Ike Barinholtz and oh, Billy Magnuson is in it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch this.
Yeah.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Mhm. Uh, all right. Well, everyone, please check out Billiam both on his TikTok and on his podcast, Future Flicks with Billiam. This was a lot of fun to review with him. And thank you everyone for listening. If you like this game analysis, please give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a 5-star rating on Spotify. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episodes. Please let me know. If you'd like to listen to more from me, please subscribe. Many more game analysis from me coming, so keep on the lookout. And again, happy Thanksgiving. This again is your host, Master John, signing off.